Who should analytics report to? Is 2021 the no turning back year for chief data officers, and how can you become a data-driven organization? These are some of the predictions we are going to discuss in this week's post. Welcome to the top 5 data, AI, and analytics post of the week, or the data-driven CarCast, as my friend Merv Adrian likes to call this. This is the weekly digest of the week's most popular post that I filter for you and try to pick up what's hot and what's not in the world of data. And if you like this, be sure to comment, like, share, use, and abuse this content. In fact, speaking of abusing the content, as always, as you click on the link down below, you'll get to my blog, where at the bottom of which you will get a slide deck nicely packaged with all the references and images of the research and the post I'm going to talk about to you here. So if you like this, make sure to like. And again, thank you so much for commenting, DMing me, and sharing with me some posts and surveys that you think I should highlight for the community. We're going to talk about some this week here. So let's get started. You might remember a few weeks ago, a member of our community, Saru Kumar, asked a great question. He asked, who should analytics report to? I turned his question into a survey, and many of you engaged. Thousands of you actually viewed the survey. Hundreds of you responded, and it's not the CTO. It's not the chief product officer. It's certainly not the CMO, according to the data. It is apparently the CFO. In fact, if you look at the comments, there's a good chance it might not actually be the CFO. Many of you agree that it should move a level higher. So I want to encourage you to take a look at that post, take a look at the survey, and more importantly, engage in the comments. I think you'll be surprised by some of the folks' answers, but also create for a great conversation. So don't be shy, go ahead and engage. In fact, if you want to continue engaging with surveys like this, our friend Carrington's published a survey on artificial intelligence for this week, and his question is quite simple. He's asking, has the media coverage in 2020 on the use of artificial intelligence alleviated or heightened your ethical concerns about artificial intelligence? Make sure you get back to Carrington for us, and then as we get more results, we'll be sure to highlight the comments as well as the survey outcome. All right, this past week, we had the opportunity to review some of 2021's predictions from some of the best research houses out there and what they have in common. Gartner released their key takeaway from their 2021 CIO agenda survey. There was a great podcast published earlier this week, and then next Tuesday, I believe, they're doing a free webinar where you'll get access to more of that research. So if you're a CIO, you're going to want to sign up for that. I think it's at 8 a.m. Pacific. SiliconANGLE and ETR covered the results of their 2021 enterprise tech predictions, where they talk about spend and the key vendors you need to pay attention to. And Forbes let Gil Press, you must know Gil Press if you're in this space, good friend of mine. He published 50 plus predictions in AI, data, and analytics. And then finally, my friend Randy Bean released the results of his AI executive survey of 2021. So when you go to the blog, you will find that SiliconANGLE and ETR will tell you that CIO spend in 2021 will be up at least 4 points. And so take a look at that quick video I embedded in my blog. Gartner will tell you that the CIOs actually have the opportunity to become CEO, COO in Proxy because of the business critical role of their company's digitalization efforts. And Forbes Gil Press had some really good observations. One is, although 50% of companies will actively seek to externally monetize data and deliver data as a service, he found that 5% or less of data sharing programs will actually correctly identify trusted data and locate trusted data sources. So it's a challenge here where companies want to create data exchanges and great ways to monetize, but up until now, the approaches that have been available don't seem to have really worked out, because 5% of the sharing programs really have failed to identify trusted data, which is a problem. So take a look at that research. This brings me to the Data and AI Executive Survey by Randy Bean in 2021. If you don't know Randy, this is someone I really advise that you follow his work as well as Tom Davenport's work. You know, they always come up with some of the most interesting insights, and this year was no exception. You know, he works and has deep relationships with some of the world's most innovative companies in banking and healthcare and consumer goods. And the results are really an indication of where the leaders are going. There's some key insights I want you to pay attention to in this particular edition. One is good news in the spend. 99% of big data and AI investments actually increase. However, almost 92% of results continue to lag, and 76% of executives report that they've actually been unable to realize their goal of becoming a data-driven organization. And so one of the resources you'll find in my blog this week is McKinsey's primer on building an architecture for a data-driven organization. So here the question is, what is happening? In the report from Randy, you'll find that he's claiming that these CIOs and CDOs are saying that technology is ahead of their ability to adopt that. That might certainly be a reason. I'd love to know what you think about that. The other insights in the report are also really interesting if you look at AI adoption and particularly the role of the chief data officer. So AI adoption is on the rise. 77.8% of companies report this time that AI capabilities are now deployed in production. Limited or widespread production. They don't make a distinction in the report, but that's up from last year's 65.8%. So it's up considerably. 81% of them are hopeful for the future. They're optimistic about the outlook, and within these companies, almost 92% of them reported the pace of investment continues to accelerate. So it's good news if you're in the business of data and analytics and AI. You can see really these executives are pushing for it, and they're starting to put their projects into production, which is a good sign. The chief data officer role is now crossing the chasm, I would say, because if you look at the numbers, and Randy does a great job showing you since the beginning of the survey from, I think, 2012, he's showing that this year now 65% of surveyed companies report having appointed a chief data officer. So really, he's claiming this is a no turning back here, where if you didn't have a chief data officer now, well, you're officially late because a large portion of your peers in industry have one. Take a look at the report. As always, every year he makes that report free. And so take a look at it, see what you can do with it, how you can engage your executives to take a look at the data. And as always, this update would not be complete if I didn't call out some exceptional people in the community. Two great ladies in the world of data this week I'd like to talk about. One is Anna Beatrix, who is the head of analytics at Mind Valley. And she dug up for us this free booklet from a Year Compass movement, which allow you to reflect on 2020 and also craft an exciting 2021 mission and set of goals. Thank you, Anna, for digging that up for us, and hopefully some members of the community will be able to use that. And Alexa of Blue Core, I've talked about her before. She does a great job authoring these technical blogs about data pipeline and data architecture. This past week, she produced a brilliant blog of the recap of all the books that she read in 2020, her favorite fiction and nonfiction books. If you want to guess how many books she read this past year, it's 42. Is not the answer to everything, so that's pretty funny, 42. Nonetheless, she picked one of her books that she liked is The Stranger by Albert Camus. It's also one of my favorite one. In fact, I have it right here. And I read it last year, 2020, with my daughter. She was studying it in school. It's a great book to read. And if you don't know much about Albert Camus, he is the author of The Plague and many other books that are great books to read, especially now when you have more time. In any case, hopefully all these resources are helpful to you. As usual, you will find all the links and resources on the blog down below. Make sure to engage, comment, tag, use and abuse this content. Share your thoughts. Tag me throughout the week if there's anything you think I'm forgetting. Stay engaged. Have a great week. Be data driven, and I will see you next week.